NAD has been hyped up as the molecule of youth. More energy, focus, metabolism, recovery, and supposedly longevity. At Live Oak, we do offer NAD injections, and patients feel great on them. So let's break down what it actually is, where it comes from, and who shouldn't be using it. All right, Landon, hit the disclaimer. So what is NAD? NAD+. NAD stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's made from vitamin B3, the same vitamin family as niacin and niacinamide. It's a coenzyme, meaning it helps other enzymes function. It's in every single cell of your body. You've probably heard mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. It's in every biology book. It's fun to say. And so it's true, but where does it even come from? What does it even mean? Your mitochondria are your body's tiny little power plants. Take food, carbs, fats, protein, and convert it into ATP, the molecule that powers everything from muscle contractions to brain function. NAD is the wiring inside of those power plants. It carries the electrons that make your energy processes work. And so without NAD, your body can't efficiently create energy, and you feel it as fatigue, brain fog, and slow recovery. NAD also fuels the enzyme that handle DNA repair, inflammation, and metabolic regulation. The big ones are the sirtuins, often called the longevity enzymes, and the PARPs, which help repair damaged DNA. When NAD levels drop, these systems lose their fuel source, leading to less cellular repair and more oxidative stress. And so that's one reason aging, poor sleep, stress, and inflammation hit over time. They drain your NAD reserves. And so as we age, NAD levels naturally decline, about 50% lower by middle age compared to your 20s. Chronic stress, processed diets, alcohol, and poor sleep all speed that up. So the idea behind replacement therapy is simple: refill the NAD tank. What about oral NAD or precursors compared with the injections and infusion? And so this is where delivery matters, and where a lot of marketing gets it wrong. Taking NAD by mouth doesn't work very well. The molecule is large, charged, and gets broken down in the gut and liver before reaching your bloodstream. Human studies show that oral NAD itself doesn't significantly raise blood or tissue NAD levels. So if you see an NAD pill, it's probably an expensive placebo powder. If you want an oral option that works, you need precursors, building blocks your body converts into NAD. The two main ones are nicotinamide riboside, NR, and nicotinamide mononucleotide, NMN. NR has the strongest data that have multiple human studies to show that oral NR raises blood NAD by 40 to 60%. NMN also raises NAD, but the response varies person to person, and tissue uptake in muscle and brain isn't as consistent. So for the most part, that's why we just use sub-Q NAD injections in practice. Injecting NAD bypasses the digestive system entirely, delivering the molecule directly into circulation. And so patients tend to report stronger, steadier benefits, especially in focus, recovery, and sustained energy, especially compared to the oral supplement. So where did all this start? Why did people even begin injecting NAD in the first place? It actually began in addiction clinics back in the 1950s and 60s. So clinicians in South Africa and later in California used IV NAD to help with alcohol and opioid withdrawal. They noticed patients had fewer withdrawal symptoms, better energy, less brain fog. It wasn't a formal trial or anything. It was just observational studies, but it worked well enough that the method stuck around. And then in the 2010s, researchers like David Sinclair at Harvard started publishing studies showing that NAD declines with age and that restoring it improved mitochondrial function and longevity pathways in animals. This launched the NAD longevity craze, and clinics began using IV, NAD, and later subcutaneous injections for people wanting more energy, faster recovery, cognitive clarity. Sub-Q injections became popular because they're faster, cheaper, and better tolerated than the multi-hour IV drips. IV NAD can take hours and can cause chest tightness or nausea if it's pushed too quickly. Sub-Q dosing gives the same cellular benefits without the need to go in and get a couple hours worth of an IV infusion. And so what are you actually feeling with NAD injections? Most people describe better mental clarity, better focus, improved workout recovery, and steadier all-day energy. And it's not quite like a caffeine buzz, but more like your body's running on clean fuel again. Some notice better sleep quality and mood stability. Additionally, we do have people who start NAD and they report intense fatigue for a day after injections. And this may be more of a detox feeling where all the antioxidants are being bound up, cleaning out the mitochondria. Typically, after a good night's rest, this improves and you'll feel great the next day. But these are subjective improvements. It makes sense biologically, but one of the caveats is we don't have long-term trials proving outcome benefits. It's another one of those meds that fit into the seems very safe, but no long-term human trials to definitely no safe bucket. And so who wouldn't I use NAD on? Even though NAD is a natural molecule, there are people who shouldn't use this, or at least need supervision. If you have active cancer, I would skip it. Cancer can hijack NAD to fuel their own growth, and until we have more data, I'm just going to avoid it completely in patients with active cancer or during their chemo or radiation. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, again, we don't have safety studies, so I would just avoid it. If you have uncontrolled hyperthyroidism, severe adrenal issues, NAD can ramp up metabolism and make that worse. If you're starting NAD for unexplained fatigue, that needs to be worked up first. Don't just jump straight to NAD so that we can make sure you don't have anemia, thyroid, infection, chronic illness, that kind of stuff. We need to find why you're tired first. If you have a vitamin B3 allergy, low blood pressure, liver kidney disease, NAD should only be used with medical oversight or just avoided altogether. The bottom line is NAD is powerful, and like anything that is powerful, it needs to be used intentionally and with proper screening. NAD injections are generally well tolerated when done correctly. Some do feel that warmth, flushing, lightheadedness, dizziness with initial injections, and so sometimes we'll start slow and work up, and that may just be your mitochondria getting a little too excited. This can be exaggerated with infusions, but we just stick to injections typically. We start low, titrate up gradually, anywhere from once a week to a couple times a week, depending on goals, energy, cognitive support, or recovery. Human studies on NAD precursors, NR and NMN, consistently increases in NAD and some promising early improvements in metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and vascular function. But for injections and IV forms, the data is still early stage. We know it raises NAD. We know people feel better. But we don't have proof that it prevents disease or extends lifespan. So it's a tool for optimization, not a guarantee of longevity. NAD is one of those rare molecules that's both essential and under research. It's crucial for life, energy, and repair, but using it therapeutically is still new territory. When we inject NAD, we're not doing something unnatural. We're replenishing a molecule your body already has. So I do think NAD injections can make you feel sharper, more focused, more resilient, and we're not chasing immortality. We're just trying to optimize. Think of it like plugging your mitochondrial back into a stable power source. Just make sure you're not trying to run your Tesla on gas station pizza and 4 hours of sleep.